Hello, hi.
I'm so excited about having you back because I really wanted to make sure that you got on this summit, and I know you really went out of your way to do it. So I wonder if you could just talk a little bit about, curriculum and AI and all of that.
Yeah, I would love to. So, one of the things I think that most people are missing is that curriculum piece, right?
Yeah,
There's so many people have a wealth of knowledge and expertise, and I know especially your community, everybody really wants to be able to get it out there and
absolutely.
serve, but that whole strategy behind it and that whole really having that framework of
Hmm.
how do you get out your knowledge efficiently and in a way so that people can not only learn from you but implement is really what's missing,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Which is why I think, the online course space and things like that, I think that's why it kind of has a bad rap. It's not because we are, lacking the experts at all. It's really because a lot of people are missing that strategy of how do you strategically implement, how do you strategically, execute the education pieces.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one of the biggest common mistakes, and I'll say this before we get into AI, is that people really are in a hurry to get their expertise out there, but they're missing that like big picture. So I get a lot of clients that come to me and they have a training on this and a training on this and a training on that, but they don't really lead up to one another. And I think that's what we see maybe is the biggest mistake when it comes to that curriculum piece.
Yeah, and I understand that so well because, like I said, I had that experience coming out of higher ed, but the implementation piece,
Mhm.
I think that's why I talk about things gathering dust on your digital bookshelf,
Right.
because I know you've done. I know we've all done it. We've bought a course and then it just sits there. We forget what we
Mhm.
get. We forget what we had, and it doesn't get done. And that implementation piece, that enabling people to actually use that
Mhm.
information is huge.
Yeah. And so, what we tend to see is that a lot of people deliver their expertise. And I'm sure many people have been in this place where you go and you sit and you take notes, and, it's an hour, 90 minutes of just this great amount of content. But then you get stuck in what I call like content paralysis. And it's like, I've spent an hour absorbing all of this content, but now I need to process it. And then you spend your time processing it, but then you don't ever get around to implementation, right? Which is
Mhm.
why so many of us have workbooks full of notes that we've never done anything with. And that's right. That's because it's just that content overwhelm.
Yeah,
And
I've even
so,
gone to conferences where it was like that. I took every
mhm,
note and then I got home and the world of regular living, I never get around to even
right,
reading them. Yeah.
right. Right. Yeah. So that's a big piece. And so one of the things I talk a lot about is micro courses, right? So,
Mhm.
for anyone out there, if you have like a 5-step system you want to teach, instead of trying to teach all 5 steps at the same time, consider teaching 5 times about each step specifically, right? So people
Yeah.
can get the step, they can process it, they can implement whatever is involved in step one, and then they get that quick win and they're ready to come back for
Yeah.
step two.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That kind of instant gratification,
Hmm.
that gets them in
Hmm.
the habit of doing that.
Right, right,
So
right, right.
So tell me a little bit about how we can how we can incorporate AI in our curriculums, in
Mhm.
those short courses. And I absolutely agree with you. Mini courses is what I call them. And people love that.
Hmm. Yeah. So I'd love to here. I have some slides that I can share that will kind of go over best practices, if you
Great.
will. Let me see. Let's grab those. And right. So one of the things that I like to, talk about is recognizing that we have this wealth of intelligence right at our fingertips when it
Mhm.
comes to using AI. And it doesn't matter what you're looking at using AI for, whether it's course creation or digital marketing or content creation, right? We really have the ability or the opportunity right now to really harness that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't understand is that if you don't truly understand AI, it's not going to work, right? Okay.
We've all been there.
So yes, we've all been there where we've gotten onto, an AI tool or Chat GPT, and we've thought, I don't understand what everybody's talking about because this doesn't seem to be working for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Which I think is a very common pain point. And I want to share really how I stepped into the world of AI and why I think it's important for everybody to give it a chance and to really attempt
Mm-hmm.
to integrate AI into the workplace. And the number one thing for me that I saw as an opportunity, which I know a lot of people watching can probably resonate with, is we're all busy, right?
Yes, yes.
So, we're running our businesses, we're serving clients. As you can see here, I have a family, right? I'm a mom. I speak and do public speaking. I am the director of a women's networking group, right? So like many of you out there, we're spinning a lot of different plates, not just the plates that it takes to
Yeah.
keep our businesses running, but all of the other everyday life plates as well, right? And so AI can really help us within this busy lifestyle to get more things done efficiently,
Mm-hmm.
right? But a lot of us diving in experience problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
And many people may not have even fully jumped in yet because of some of the things that you see here on the screen. AI makes a lot of people nervous, right? We hear about security
Oh,
issues
hold
and
on a second.
yeah.
There. I'm sorry, I didn't pull your slides up at first.
Oh,
So,
that's okay. Okay. Perfect. Right.
yeah.
So, a lot of people are like, AI makes me nervous. I'm hearing about all these bad things that might be happening with
Mm-hmm.
AI. A lot of people who may have tried AI realize it doesn't actually sound like them. They're getting more of that like generic computerized type of output. A lot of people might feel like AI can't replicate what they
Mm-hmm.
can do within their business. A lot of people feel like AI is not authentic, or there's too big of a learning curve, which I know is something I ran into in the beginning. Was I was like, oh my gosh, I could just sit and write a blog faster
Yeah, yeah.
than trying to learn this thing and how to get the results that I want. AI changes very quickly, right? So we're rapidly evolving. And I think a lot of people feel like they can't stay up to speed with
Oh,
all of
yeah,
the
yeah.
changes, right? In AI. And then there's that underlying belief that AI actually doesn't foster real connections, right? Because it's machine learning and we're using a machine, right? And things like that. And
And
all of those are really valid.
I think a lot of people feel that way about it,
Mhm.
Kelley,
Yep.
that it doesn't really foster those relationships and everything. And my mentor, Iman Agai, always
Mhm.
says that, AI is not going to put you out of business, but
Mhm.
what might put you out of business is the fact that you're not using it like other people can use it.
Right.
And that's so important because I know starting out, I was totally confused about it. And I still am to a certain extent because who has time
Mhm.
to learn all that?
Right. Right. And so I think that's why many people are finding that AI actually doesn't work. They've attempted it. They've, watched what other people are doing. They've tried to integrate the same thing in their business and they come up with this idea of like, okay, I don't know what people are talking about. I don't know what all the hype is about. I don't know why people are saying that this works really well when it actually doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think one of the biggest things that we can do is we want to really lean in and we want to ask ourselves, what are those keys? What do I need to remember? So, these are the 4 keys to harnessing AI, and these keys are across the board, whether you want to use AI for micro course ideas. I use AI a lot for the outlines to come up with the outlines and
Yes,
structures
yes.
of courses and
Mm-hmm.
micro courses. We know in the digital marketing space that AI can be really powerful with content creation,
Yes.
right? So, marketing copy, social media content, email marketing, blogs, right? But again, most of the people out there probably have tried it and thought, well, I feel like I could have just gotten better results if I had done it myself. So these are the 4 keys that we need to remember. Number 1, we want to assess our business before we jump in and try to use AI. Because we know that AI learns from us, we need to have that foundational information about our business clarified before we go and we use AI, right? So we want to make sure that we have our mission and values. We want to take a look at the standard of procedures that we have within our business. We want to assess our organizational structure. And more importantly, we want to have our business goals. When we have this foundational business assessment, we can then take this information and give it to tools like ChatGPT or Claude or whatever people are using, and give it that foundational background, right? Like, here's who I am. This is my business. This is my current business mission, right? Here are my business goals, because that is the beginning of what is going to allow us to create content that's going to differentiate us and not come out with that generic computerized kind of content that I think many people are getting. So you have to have the structure in your business and the clarity in your business first before you jump in and try to use tools like AI, right? So that's one piece. The second piece is around AI tools. So I'm sure you know there's 100,000 AI tools that are out there, right? I mean, I know every time I go on LinkedIn, I see another post of like the top 50 AI tools that everybody should be using.
And of course, LinkedIn now has that capability too. So all of this is really, really important.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's not just about new tools coming out. It's also about current tools that we're already using coming out with AI features, right? So I think there's this added noise, if you will, when it comes to what tools should I be using, because everybody has an AI component now in the tools. And that's where I think a lot of people start spinning is, I'm trying to use all the tools. Everybody in my industry is using different tools. And now I'm stuck in this cycle of trying to learn all the tools, but I'm actually not doing anything with them. Right. So, once you assess your business goals in terms of like, what am I trying to do? What are my priority goals for my business? Where am I getting bottlenecked in terms of these goals? Then it's really easy to look at the tools and find the tools that are right for your current goal. So, if you love writing blogs and that's something that you enjoy doing and you do it without any hesitation, using AI to write blogs isn't probably a tool that you want to focus on. But if social media is where you're getting stuck, then finding an AI tool that's going to allow you to generate social media content faster is probably where you want to focus. Okay. So that's one of the things that allows us to get out of the weeds, is to figure out, well, I don't need, if I'm not creating videos, I don't need to learn an AI video editing tool. Okay. So being able to really focus in and hone in on what is that AI tool for my business.
And there are some great ones out there, I mean, some amazing ones. But I agree that you really have to have the right tool for your business goals. And that's all part of branding too, being able to differentiate yourself from other people.
Right. And that's a perfect segue to this third key, which is customizing and training your AI, right? So that whole pain point of it doesn't sound like me, it doesn't sound like a human, it doesn't sound authentic, is we want to remember to train the tools. So, there's a saying out there in the AI space that talks about garbage in, garbage out, which basically means if you're giving it garbage information, it's not going to give you great results. So being able to say, this is my brand voice. Again, this is my mission. This is what the transformation that I want to provide to my audience.
Mhm.
Here's a lot of information about the service that I'm trying to create copy around.
Mhm. Mhm.
Here's who I'm speaking to. Those are all things that we want to feed AI before we ask it to do anything, right? Is to give it that background information. And I always like to ask it, are you clear on who I am?
Oh, very good. And
Right?
I've been well, I think everybody in the world has tried Chat GPT in one
Mhm.
version or another. And
Right.
I went ahead and upgraded a little bit for that, so that I could get into, the Chat GPT 4 and do some of this because I wasn't able to figure out how to do the avatars and everything and get.
Mhm.
But when I went into that, yes, you can customize your voice, you can do all
Mhm.
of that and create your own avatars and that. So I think that's a great comment.
Mhm. And, when you ask it to kind of, for its understanding, sometimes what I realize is, if I say, like, I help people create online courses, but I also have an educational background of almost 20 years,
Hmm.
it might miss that piece, right? And
Hmm.
for me, that's an important piece of my branding that
Sure.
sets me apart from other course creators is, I actually come from education. And so that's
Yes.
an opportunity to check AI and to go back and say, oops, you forgot the fact that I actually have an educational background. Please remember
Oh
to
yeah.
incorporate that, right?
Yeah, that's so important. And
Mhm.
you know that I totally agree with you about, curriculum design and tailoring it to what you're doing.
Mhm.
And it's a wonderful tool. But I
Mhm.
think you're right. People are worried about it and they don't know how to customize it.
Mhm.
I even see that on LinkedIn because that's my playground, and people just don't understand, how to use it, and
Right.
it's there for them. So yeah,
Mhm.
all of that, and the brand voice, the missions and values, all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really do have to train it. And I was wondering, how are people doing this training? That
Right.
was my own struggle through it. So yeah, I think, customize your and train your AI is such an important
Yeah,
piece.
AI has come so far in the past, year and a half since ChatGPT first came out that, we're at a place now with AI where we don't have to worry about the prompts as much as we do. We actually really can have a conversation with it. And
Hmm.
so, I like to tell people to imagine that ChatGPT is like your intern, right?
Hmm.
And think about, like, what kinds of background information would you give your intern when
Yeah.
sending your intern to do a task? And if you keep that in mind and do the same for ChatGPT, you're going to find that your results are much more authentic, they're much more humanized, and they're much more accurate. So you can tell the prompt, like, oops, remember this about my service,
Yeah.
like, again, like you would an intern, like, I love this
Yeah.
and you missed a piece, like, go
Yeah.
back and try to incorporate this.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
that's great. I hadn't thought of it in those terms. And you're right. It is like an intern.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's that educational background coming in again.
Right, the need for education, the training, giving the background and things like
Yeah.
that. And for
Yeah.
many, that's the game changer of, I wasn't getting this kind of output before, but now I am, because you've trained GPT, or again, whatever AI tool
Yeah.
you're using to have that background.
Yeah. That's so important.
Yeah. And then I think the last key is to really find the experts, right? I think one of the pain points that a lot of people are experiencing when it comes to using AI is everybody claims to be the AI expert, right? Everybody is using AI, everybody's saying, follow me, everybody's saying, do what I do. And so I think, like, with what you've created with this summit, with your community, providing your community with vetted experts is something that is super valuable, and I think is key, is really learn how to turn off, like, the side noise and just pick some of those experts that are, either in your industry, that have been vetted by the people that you trust, and, really just focus on a few key players when it comes to AI, and tune out all of the other noise when it comes to using AI.
Yeah, and that's again, that's really important to understand that. I have a few people that I follow who are experts in my field, and
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't thought. Well, yeah, actually, I have done, because I use Bard,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll ask it to write it in the tone of or the voice of someone else that's an expert in my field, and it really helps from that point of view.
Right, right. Yeah, and for people out there who are like, I don't know my brand voice, or I'm not sure, if you really want it to be authentic, just some tips could be to take a blog that you have written yourself, give it to AI and ask AI to identify the tone and the brand voice. Taking a video or an interview that you've done and asking AI to pick up your tone or brand voice could be a great way to start for
Yeah.
people who might feel stuck around, well, what if you don't even know what your brand voice is?
Yeah, and that's part of branding, is that you have
Yeah.
your point of view. I always tell people, you know, when I'm going to really date myself here. Well, first of all, if anybody remembers newspapers,
Yeah.
when we used to have those, but years ago there used to be these two sisters who were. I think one was Ann Landers and Dear Abby or something was the other one, and they. Half the time people were really angry, they disagreed with it, but they stuck to it, and people loved them. They followed them because they had that point of view. They really gave you feedback on what you wanted, and no, you're wrong, you were rude.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we forget that. We forget
Right.
that having that point of view, having that voice and what it means in terms of your brand are so important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, again, for anybody who's like given it a try and felt frustrated or felt like this isn't, I don't know what all the hoopla is about. I don't know why everybody is saying it's so great. Like going back to the drawing board and, having that clarity around your business, and then really, again, taking it under your wing as an AI intern, if you will, and think
Mhm.
about, if this was a human that came into my business, what is all the things I would teach it? And you'll find
Mhm.
that if you teach AI the same thing, you're going to get a world's different of results.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So if one of our viewers would like to just get started, dip their toe in and find out a way to start, what would you say is like the starting point of all this?
I always say the starting point is just to start, like just get in there, pick a tool, play
Mhm.
around with it, test it, see what it can do. I like to like try to just say like, write me a blog. And then I like to say, well, what's going to happen if I tell it, this is my brand voice, write me a blog? And then what is it going to be like if I add it, say, well, here's what I know about this topic, incorporate that, right? So
Uh,
test the model yourself. You can't break it, right? Like you can't do anything wrong. And so, just, I think, jump in. I think that's the biggest thing. Like stop looking for the perfect prompt, the perfect tool,
yeah,
and just start. You can conversate with it. You can have a conversation with it now. And so just start
yeah.
going back and forth with it and seeing what kind of results you can get.
Yeah, I have a friend who went in and just said, "You're my copywriter, and this is what I, and
Mm-hmm.
that's, okay, you're my copywriter. I mean, that's so simple,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
it's really true.
Yeah.
And I think part of the hesitation is because people have gotten all those prompts and everything, and it confuses you. It's
Absolutely.
it's just too much. So yeah, I think what you're saying is that we don't need that. We need to start having a conversation with
Mm-hmm.
AI. And
Right.
yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, like really think about, where are you bottlenecked, right? So if you're thinking about, I don't know where to start or what to ask it to do, think about in your own business, what are those tasks that take you longer than you'd like?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it image generation? Is it social media content? Is it coming up with Instagram reel ideas? Where are you getting stuck? And that's a
Yeah,
great task to start with when it comes to
yeah,
using AI.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, and I know that I've experimented with a number of them. Like I said, I really like Bod. or Bard because it allows me to write in some, in the kind of in the same tone as somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also use it because I have this weird sense of humor that was developed by reading the Harvard Lampoon. So I'll just say, okay, write this in the tone of Lord of the Rings, and they'll come up with these great things. So it can just be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I started out, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I started out using Chat GPT to do birthday wishes for people, and I get them all their friends to tell me something about them, and then I put it into satire on it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can just have fun learning it, and it doesn't, just get your feet wet. I think you're right. And experimenting to do that, because like I said, that was the first time I ever used it.
That's so funny that you share that, because I have a good friend who's always been like, you talk about AI, you talk about AI. I know I need to learn it. She has her own business. I just don't know where to start. And so I said the same thing, just play with it. She ended up writing a speech for her daughter's wedding using AI. That was the first prompt she ever did, because she was like, I was so stuck on what to say that she used it just to get ideas started. And she was like, my speech, she still laughs about the fact that I can't believe the first thing I used AI for was to actually write a speech, a toast, right, for my daughter's wedding. But that's the perfect place to start, is just get in there. Maybe it's not business related. Like you said, maybe you need to write an email to a family member, or you want to write anniversary message. Get in there and see what it can do. And, just test all of the different ways that you can use it. We talk a lot on the Women Who AI Summit. People use it for this is what's in my refrigerator. What am I going to make for dinner? Right. So there's even a lot of personal integrations that you can use it for. So, take the stress off, take that pressure off of having to really learn it, and just get in there and start asking it questions and see what it can do.
Yeah. And you can use it, if you want to go back to Chat GPT, because I think everybody knew that term first. I started using it just to outline, a course, or outline, an idea, and then go in and I can do those things on my own. But it's great as a tool just for organizing and outlining and those kinds of things. It can be really great. Do you want to take everything that it comes up with? Probably not.
Right.
It is a start.
Yeah, absolutely. So, have fun with it, dive right in. Don't put pressure on yourself to have to do anything. But once you, I think, get comfortable with it, you'll really start to know the ins and outs. Give it as much information as possible. And I think that's where people really see that up leveling of content that it can create for you.
Yeah, and it's great. My husband does a lot of my copywriting, so he'll use that to look at things, but he always does it in my voice. He always he has that opportunity. So yeah, you're right. The characterization of it as an intern is just so important, because we both come out of education. We've both had interns and grad students and all that. And I remember hiring grad students, and their last task before they left was to write up the instruction manual for the next person coming along.
Okay.
So having that information and keeping it updated is just so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And the brilliant part is if you're using a tool like Chat GPT, right, you have the ability to open different chats.
Yes.
Is recognizing that if you jump from one chat to another, you have to retrain it, right? So the background information, if you work within one chat, stays within that one chat, which gives us the ability to train it with different backgrounds.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who works with different clients, or you've got different client avatars, or maybe different products and services. So a lot of people get confused, right? They're like, oh, I trained it once and then I went 3 chats later, but it's not doing it. You have to retrain it, right? But it also, you're like, why doesn't it sound like me anymore? But it also gives us the ability to train it on different levels or in different ways, which is also equally, I think, as powerful when we're talking about content creation and using it within our business.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So the key is to jump in
Mhm.
and have fun with it and not over stress, and knowing that about the chats, because I did that so many times. It's like,
Yeah.
write this, and it's like, this doesn't even sound like me. What happened?
Right.
Yeah, that's a
Right.
really good point. So
Yeah.
you have mentioned a couple of times now your women's AI group.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. I don't have the link to that, but I'd love
Okay.
get people
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah. So, about a year ago, February, I was at a generative AI conference in San Francisco, had about 2,000 people there. And during one of the breaks, I was walking around. I had a couple of friends that were there, but we
Mhm.
realized that out of the 2,000 people, there were maybe less than 50 women, right?
Uh-huh.
Which I think for females, I think that is like an intimidating piece, especially when we think about diving into using AI and just technology in general. It's a
Mhm.
very male dominated
Mhm.
industry. Whether there's imposter syndrome because we're females, whether it's just feeling stupid to ask the questions, right? Because we're in a male dominated industry. I was kind of standing around and we were joking that we need our own summit, right? And so one of my good friends was like, do it. Like, I think you should put on your own summit. And
Yeah.
so I founded, it's the Women Who AI Summit.
Oh,
Yep, womenwhoai.com is an easy place to find us.
yeah. I'm going to write
We,
this down right now.
yes, we just ended our third virtual summit, which was fantastic.
Oh, that's great.
And we have a Facebook group. It's the Women Who AI Facebook group, but
Okay.
all are welcome, right? It's not a women's only group, but what I've chosen to do with that summit is spotlight a lot of the female leaders in
Yeah.
AI. So on our summit, you'll find all female interviews. This last round was amazing because we had 8 female CEOs of AI companies
Wow.
come and talk about the tools that they've created, why they've created those tools. It's actually up on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and you go to Teach Your Brilliance,
Teach Your
you'll
Brilliance. Okay.
yep, you'll find a podcast of the last summit of all the interviews. It's the first time we've made it public after the summit was over. But it just gives different perspectives. I think there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of different conversations or different approaches that females have to
Mm-hmm.
their business, to processes, to automation. And so it's just been, it's always a free summit. It's kind of become my passion project, but
Yeah.
I think everybody can benefit from just learning from a diverse field of
Absolutely.
women.
Yeah.
So this summit offered some vetted AI tools that are very simple, easy to use for different things. But yeah, the summit is always,
Yeah.
fun and
Carol, when you're ready to publicize the next one or even give me some dates to hold, I'd love to pass it along to my group,
yep.
and send them that way, because yeah, it's amazing. And it's not that men aren't welcome,
Right.
but
Right.
women have different challenges
Hmm.
and different ways to do it. And I know I'm getting ready to start a mastermind for women over 70,
Okay.
who are just
Yeah.
kicking online, and
Hmm.
that, it's a matter of all of us learning. It's not that those kids are coming up and they can outlearn us or outperform us. Yes, they're computer. Well, I'm a computer immigrant, so I guess they're computer natives
Hmm.
because they came up with it. But yeah, it's that whole educational piece and understanding. And women, I can remember going through my PhD program.
Hmm.
It was dominated by all men, but 3 of us who completed were women, and every one of us that had a major challenge on the way through. And even in a PhD program, women don't get the attention they need, and particularly in the tech areas. So that's
Right.
always been a challenge. And so I'm
Yeah.
glad you're recognizing that and offering this tool for everyone, because I would love to send people to it. In fact, I'd like to
Yeah.
your summit too. So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And again, we keep that Facebook group open all year round. Now that we dropped the YouTube channel, right, and the podcast, you're also going to be seeing interviews like this in between each summit, just to keep the
Mhm.
conversation going, right, and things like that. So, like I said, it's a great place to learn. Everything's like quick tips, one step actions, easy tools that everybody can learn outside of ChatGPT. So,
Mhm.
it's just a fun place to be, and it's always fun to get different perspectives on people using AI, different reasons why people have created tools, and again, and like you said, I think it's true. I think females have different challenges. I think
Yeah.
we come at things a different way when it comes to solving
Mhm.
problems
Mhm.
or designing workflows. So
Yeah.
I think it's always a fresh conversation, and a new perspective that we can get from, just keeping those conversations open.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. We want to encourage everyone to get involved with AI right away. And you have a
Mhm.
gift that you're giving, the AI business guide.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the AI business guide is some like top tools that
Mm-hmm.
people can use inside their business. So once you've defined your business goals, right, and really kind of gotten clarity around where am I getting stuck, the AI business guide is broken down into like content creation, video editing, PowerPoint presentation, graphics, and it gives you like 5 vetted free tools or tools that have a free component that everybody can use to
Yeah.
kind of help people narrow down what they want to use AI for, and then just identify some quick tools. Many of the tools are tools that have been shared on our summit. But it's a great place to get people started, and to really hone in on what are the tools specifically for this task.
Yeah, that's great. And I do have the link. I'm going to drop it in the chat, but right now I'm having trouble getting into the chat. So,
Okay,
hello, tech problems.
of course.
And that's okay. I have every once in a while say that I think I'm in the Bermuda Triangle of
Yeah.
technology.
Yeah, it's so funny. I know. It's like we can get AI to write a book for us, and then sometimes like simple things like doing a live stream, it's like what
Yeah,
is actually
yeah,
happening?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So, Kelley, I am so grateful to you for coming because I know you're
Yeah.
traveling and I know you worked us in, and I'm just I always remember you as a speaker and your knowledge, and so I am so grateful that you came.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
is there any last thing that you want to say?
Really just dive in. Like push all those fears aside. If you've tried it before, give it another chance. Think about some of those 4 keys, because I really think it's a game changer for all of us in our business.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people just have hit that wall and they are not motivated to go back, or they're not sure, but like, train it again, like let it be your best intern,
Yeah.
and have fun. Like you're going to see so much more productivity in your business.
Yeah, that's great, Kelley.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it and I appreciate you. So I know you're traveling, so I'll let
Yeah.
you go. Where
All
where
right.
are you
Thank
traveling,
you.
by the way?
I'm actually in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, it's South by Southwest this week. Lots of digital marketing, AI discussions going on. I'm at an AI mastermind today. Just
Great.
lots of people trying to use AI for different things. So, yeah, that's where I am. I'm glad it worked out, though, because I'm always honored to be a part of anything that you do. So, yeah, I appreciate you having me.
So that's our mutual admiration piece, folks. And
Yep.
Kelley, I'm going to let you go and enjoy your
Okay.
conference.
All
And
right.
thank you again.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Thank you. Bye bye.